financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is tax issues, the new hot potato. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning. I can see like hash browns maybe, but
Well, the hot potato, Jeff, what's the hot potato?
The budget, the infusion of money into the collection.
The 87,000 new agents that are going to be breathing down your neck to collect the taxes they owed because of this new bill. Have you heard about that, Pat?
No, that's why I watch the show.
So that was the new Inflation Reduction Act. They made a big deal about it.
I'm going with hash browns.
So, all right, well, hash browns are good, but they're greasy.
Well, wait, we're
Greasy.
talking about the IRS. I think you just nailed it right on the head.
It's kind of a good analogy because this infusion of $80 billion and 87,000 employees is kind of hard to get your hands around, like hash browns. If you tried to lift them up, they're going to be all over the place in a mess.
It's not recommended to eat hash browns with your hands. So here's the point that I wanted to bring out is all of a sudden the act got passed, and yeah, there's an allocation of $80 billion to the IRS, which is a lot of money. And all of a sudden you see all these commercials and all these articles talking about 87,000 new IRS agents. And everybody's getting this idea that all of a sudden there's this new army of IRS agents that are going to be swarming all over us to collect taxes that are owed. And everybody should be scared to death and immediately calling their tax professional for help to shield them from this new force that's going to come swarming over them and clobber them and take all their assets. Is that what's really happening here?
As tax professionals, what's wrong with people calling us to do work?
Nothing. But
Okay,
as
I just want to make sure.
But as lawyers and as people that are designed to make sure that we represent people in the right fashion, we don't want to scare them necessarily into a false sense of need when the $80 billion is over 10 years.
What's the law? I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
It's also not all agents.
The Inflation Reduction Act that got passed.
What is it?
Here's the reality though. 87,000 people. They're going to hire 87,000 new people. You can't hire anyone at the moment to do anything. It's impossible to find workers out there right now. So how's the IRS going to do it when the government's paying what we'll call lower wages than private sector?
Well, and first of all, we'll go into your question, Pat. This was the August bill with the Inflation Reduction Act with all the money for energy conservation, the last bill that just got passed. It included an $80 billion allocation to IRS. Here's the point. IRS, if you look at, I ran through two great articles. One was in Kiplinger and the other one was in Bloomberg. And basically, in the last 10 years, IRS has lost that much of its workforce.
Right.
And it has gone down so far in its ability to process returns, do audits, and collect the taxes that are owed that it's become almost a joke. And they've been constantly saying we need more money. They finally gave them an allocation, but it's going to take, even on their numbers, the commissioner of the IRS said, it's going to take us 10 years to ramp up. So the point is, it's a false method of trying to scare people when they talk about these 87,000 agents into thinking that they're coming for you. But there's a different aspect to it. And here's what I want to throw out to us. If you're a person who hasn't filed their tax returns, or you haven't paid your taxes for several years, there's a truth that goes with that circumstance that we see all the time. And one is, you probably are not sleeping well at night because you know you have a problem and it's not getting addressed. And with each year, the problem goes larger. Right. Because you don't pay the current year's taxes because you haven't paid the previous year's taxes. You haven't filed the current year's return because you didn't file the previous year's return. And you have this idea in your head that if I file the return for the current year, they're going to come back on the following week and say, where's all the previous years? So the idea that this is going to take 10 years to ramp up, you know what it really means to me? It means those people that are still dealing with the problem, if you keep ignoring it, the problem gets bigger. And when the problem gets bigger, at the end of the day, 87,000 agents or not, at the end of the day, if you live long enough, they will find you. And they will come after you. And if the problem is better if it's a 2 or 3 year problem than if it's an 8 or 9 year problem, or if it's a 10 or 12 year problem. So the point is, and Jeff, you tell me it's wrong, Brian, you tell me it's wrong. The thing that I always hear is
what about me? Wait, what about me?
Pat, you tell me if we're wrong. The thing that I always hear from the clients that come in with a tax problem is the first day that they slept, in as long as they can remember, is the day after they came in and addressed the problem.
That's my point I was going to make. Worrying about the problem is always way worse than solving the problem.
Most of my clients will always tell me that they feel good and better and more relaxed because they've started to do something about the problem.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing that's always amazed me, and it's because we've been doing this and dealing with tax problems and things like that for a long period of time. If you're outside the world and you don't understand how to resolve a tax problem, you think of it as an enormously complicated, dangerous problem because they can come and grab your assets, they can garnish your wages, they can do all these things that you hear all these commercials about.
Well, wait.
And they can.
Do that.
They do.
They do
If you
that.
don't address the problem, they do. But solving the problem, we have methods of solving the problem that work very well. And the key is addressing the problem. We have a wealth of tools to address the problem. And if you address it, I would go to the statement and say, if you address the problem, they can't garnish your wages. They can't take your assets. They can't put you in jail.
Correct.
It's ignoring the problem that all those problems can happen.
Very
Take
true.
a break and we'll figure out how do you address the problem.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
I was married for 57 years before my husband died.
Simasco Law had established a trust for them before this happened.
There's so much to do in the beginning, but after about a month, you're kind of alone.
We deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
If you continue to have good support and know that your finances and your estate is in order, that's one thing that's so comforting. I would just highly recommend Simasco Law.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem. So we're back. So the takeaway on the 87,000. It's a lot of marketing BS. Just putting it out there. But a professional wants to help you.
Marketing BS on a law passed by Congress.
There you go.
Hey, BS from BS to BS.
I look at it this way. A professional wants to help you and earn a good living doing it. But these so-called tax companies that you see them making all these ads like they're trying to constantly scare you, well, their goal is to just make a lot of money. That's what they want to do. And they make a lot of money by spending a lot of money on advertising, scaring you, disturbing you, getting you to call, and then overcharging you. That's the only thing that I'm saying to you. The 87,000
overcharging
is a fiction to scare you, but addressing your tax problem is the smart thing to do. But address it with somebody who is honest with you and practical in the approach.
Those companies overcharge and underdeliver. That's what the problem is. The concept of what they're trying to sell, so to speak, that to get you out of a tax problem is a legitimate concept.
It's just the method.
Their methods are terrible.
So how do you find that person? If I'm Mr. Taxpayer and I'm going slowly down.
Do you know where your right hand is?
Yes.
Look at your right hand. Now look to the right of it.
I see that.
There he is.
But a lot of people may not have that, or maybe they're in California, or maybe they're in other places. So where do you find that
That's
person?
a problem. Because
the easiest place to find is the advertising that's in front of you,
and
which
if
happens
you go
to
to
be
a
one
large
word.
law firm, you might end up paying billing rates that you don't want, and they may not be equipped and well capable of handling a consumer tax problem in a cost-effective manner. You have to look and you have to see. But the point is that if you respond to the 1-800 advertising, the national advertising, you at least need to check things out. If you talk to one company, then call a few others and price shop and listen to who you're talking to. If you call THAV GROSS and you have a tax problem, you're going to talk to Jeff Linden, you're going to talk to Brian Small, you're going to talk to me. You're not going to talk to a salesperson.
Yeah, but you're never looking up THAV GROSS. What is the Google words that you would search? Tax
problem.
IRS tax
And you're going to end up running into both types of people.
Come on, we all market. That's how it's like marketing. Google is now the new phone book.
Right, that's my point. If I'm in California, do I look up tax problems, or I look up?
Yeah, sure. But you're going to have to call multiple people.
Then you should.
You don't want to end up.
How about asking your tax preparer?
That's not a bad one, but the tax preparer sometimes makes the mistake of thinking that he or she can handle the problem when that's sometimes out of their range. And that we see that problem. Tax preparers call us all the time to help their clients.
Right. Yeah, here's something that you don't get in the market is the end result of a tax dispute and where you can go if you don't get what you need is federal tax court. You have to be a lawyer to get to federal tax court. Most of these tax resolution firms don't have lawyers. They have former IRS enrolled agents or tax prepared people or something like that. We leverage the ability to go to tax court very effectively.
Which is a really important point that you never see and it's never covered in a commercial or something like that. Tax court sounds like it's a big, expensive, horrific process. The way it works in the context of tax collection defense is it's a threat and a leverage to go there, and sometimes we actually do go there. It's cost effective to resolve the problem when you know how the procedure works.
And the IRS wants it resolved too. They want to have
like any lawsuit, they want to resolve the case.
The IRS's goal for any taxpayer is to get them back into compliance
Yeah.
and become a paying taxpayer.
They don't have the big army to enforce. So they want to resolve cases if you pursue it the right way. So the big important bottom line is, it's the longer you wait, the problem grows. So you shouldn't, if you have a tax problem, it doesn't matter whether there's 87,000 new agents coming or 4. You need to resolve the problem because they're eventually going to catch up with you, and then the problem is bigger. Resolve it now. That's the smart play. Now, let me give you a quick scenario. 2 guys, Jake and Sean. We're going to compare their situation. Jake's situation, he makes good money, married, 2 kids, $180,000 of income. He's got $100,000 of credit card debt, $335,000 savings in the bank. His house is worth $300,000. He's got $80,000 of equity on it between his first and second mortgage. He's got a couple car payments, $800. He owes taxes from 19 and 20, $40,000 and $50,000. So he's got a lot of tax debt, but he's got cash in the bank. He's got a lot of credit card debt as well, and he's got equity in his house, and he makes good money. Sean, on the other hand, is only making $50,000 a year. He's got $100,000 in credit card debt. His house is worth $300,000, but his 2 mortgages are total $320,000, so he's underwater in his house. He's got the same 2 car payments at $800 a month, and he owes taxes of $5,000 and $10,000. So the question is, let's talk between now and the next segment. How do we resolve their issues for Jake and Sean? And is the solution the same for each of them, or is it different? What are their options?
Well, no, the solution is not the same for each of them. Sean is the easier situation to deal with. So, Sean, you're going to look at the possibility of
Sean's the guy who's only making $50,000 a year.
And he should file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's not a question of if he should file, it's a question of when he should file.
Well, can he discharge the taxes?
So income tax debt is dischargeable.
And Jeff, is he right, what he's saying? I always want to, because you're the tax guy, I want to make sure. That
Yes, income tax debt is dischargeable.
So how do you know this stuff if you're not the tax guy?
Because I'm a bankruptcy guy and I do tax work also. So
Wait.
3 years.
Do we work together?
We do. It's a crazy concept.
There you go.
Income
Do
tax
you
debt.
know all this stuff too?
No.
Would you
I
let
don't
me
wanna
finish?
know it.
Oh,
I
I'm
want
sorry.
to go to you guys.
Go ahead.
Income tax debt is dischargeable if your income tax came due at least 3 years ago, your taxes have been filed for at least 2 years, and you haven't been assessed in the last 6 months. When we
8
come
months.
back from the break, 240 days, 8 months. When we come back from the break, we can talk about why Sean should be at Chapter 7.
Take a break, we'll be back.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Samasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Samasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Samasco Law.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us to Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 a.m. and Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m. and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. We've got a seminar coming up Wednesday, October 26th, 6 o'clock p.m. Too Much Debt is Needless Pain. This is a live seminar at our offices in Bingham Farms. We're going to go over how to eliminate debt, bankruptcy and non-bankruptcy solutions. The key is the future, saving rather than struggling. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Remember, you can always come into the office for a free consultation, or if you're concerned about COVID or any other issues, you can do a teleconference or a phone conference, but you're more than welcome to come on in. We're doing conferences live and in person. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-4357. Also, go online for free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by myself and Jeff Linden. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations and Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, and Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem. But we're back. So, Brian, how are you solving Sean's problem?
Really, Sean's problem is easy. He's a simple Chapter 7. He's going to discharge his credit card debt of $100,000, and he's going to discharge his income taxes, which he owes for the years 2017 and 2018. They're more than 3 years old. He filed them timely. He hasn't been assessed in the last 8 months. They go away.
So Sean gets rid of the tax debt, gets rid of the credit card debt. All he's got to do is find a job making a little bit more money, and then his life's going to be great.
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
Jake, not so much.
Jake? What about Jake?
Jake can't file Chapter 7. Jake has too much income, has too much assets, and his taxes aren't
His
dischargeable yet.
$35,000 is not good for Chapter 7?
Having that much money in the savings, no, you can't protect that much
And his
money.
$180,000 of income? Too high?
Too high.
We already talked about
He's a
it in
potential
different
Chapter
show.
13
What
candidate.
if he had $200,000 in an IRA? Could he file bankruptcy?
If that was his major asset, yes, because it's protected in the bankruptcy.
But if you have $200,000 in your IRA, what do you do about your taxes?
It counts as your collection potential. The IRS will look, it says you could liquidate it and pay your taxes.
This is why when we work together, sometimes instead of solving the tax problem through an offer and compromise or an installment agreement, we do it through a bankruptcy. Sometimes, in this case, Jake's situation, he's probably best off with an installment payment agreement.
What do
Right,
you guys
and
think?
depending on what he does with the bankruptcy, we might stretch it out over time, depending on how his finances work out. Maybe he's a full pay installment agreement. Maybe he's a partial pay installment agreement, and we can leverage the statute of limitations to knock off the debt. Maybe his budget lets him be not collectible for a while.
You know what I want to say about Jake?
Yeah.
He better get his head out of his ass, because he has the same debt he had 5 years ago when we looked at him. He better fix it once and for all, because it's only going to get worse.
That was Jack.
That was Jake. 5 years ago, I looked at Jake.
Jake is a good guy, and as his attorney,
He needs his head out of his ass.
I resent you picking on him. He's a good guy, and he's dealing with his
His
problems
wife
as best
is
as he
right.
can.
Jake, quit screwing around. Let's get this fixed.
I need you to remove somebody from the office.
But he's right. He's right. But that's the same thing as the credit card trap. When you start to funnel yourself into
You
a
don't want to
problem,
be a repeat
You have to
offender.
change your behavior.
You have to learn a different behavior. You have to
Right.
change it. And getting rid of the debt through any means legally possible is going to help you get your foot stepping forward.
I just want to say something. Jake went through the financial crisis. See, everybody's listening. Jake went through the financial crisis, and that was his problem then, but he also got hammered by the pandemic as too. So Jake has some reasons, but point well taken. You need to change your behavior. But let's go back to this. Why can't he do an offer in compromise to get rid of this $90,000?
He's got too much equity in his house and too much in savings. That the IRS will look to that as his minimum offer.
Because he's got $80,000 equity in the house, he's got the
$35,000
$35,000 in savings. So do you get it? You
He
get
has
some
more
allowance?
equity than he owes.
But you
so
know,
that's why you got to
I'm
put it
just
on a
going to
payment plan.
throw this
Right.
out, that it's possible, though, in a Chapter 13, Jake could end up paying back the IRS through Chapter 13 and paying nothing on his credit cards. So the analysis needs to be done hand in hand, the tax analysis and the bankruptcy analysis, because
It's
if-
often not one or the other.
Right.
It's often a blend between us and the best strategy.
And this is what is unique about us, because if you go to a tax company, there's no bankruptcy analysis. If you go to a bankruptcy firm, there's no tax analysis as to what solutions are available. When we look at it, we take the tools of financial crisis, we look at all of those issues, and these two bounce each other, the remedies against each other to come up with the best solution. You want to pick the problem to solve Jake's
You
problem.
need an
that's the most
individualized solution for the individual.
No. The problem is individual to the individual, and the solution is individual to the
I've
individual.
heard that one
Please
time.
do not steal my line.
That
Thank
is
you.
so 2020.
I know, it is, isn't it?
But I have a different question. Somebody who has a tremendous amount of credit card debt and has not been able to figure out how to get out of it, what name did you come up with for that problem?
It's the credit card trap, and you need to call THAV GROSS.
There you go.
I like what he had
So,
to say.
bottom line, on tax problems, Jake and Sean, different circumstances require different measures to resolve the problem. Both of them are solvable problems. The solution is different, but the smart thing that both of them are doing is addressing the problem and not waiting. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.